This is a brotherhood. And if we stand strong together, we can't be denied. If one of us go down, we have another, and another, and another that's ready to fight. So let's hit this field and bang them, bang them, bang them. Somebody, light me up.
Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide. Ready or not.
fastest swimmer in lane 4, progressively getting slower in each progressing lane. But yeah, we're gonna see lane 4 and 5, lane 3 as well, probably taking an early lead out here. Progressive in each heat, that's what you'll see. Here we go, heat 2, Aaron Matheny in lane 1 from Eastern. Madison Baxter from Northwestern in lane 2. Anna Moore, Westfield lane 3. Haley Reed, your 3rd seed in lane 4 for Carmel. Macy Record in lane 5 for Kokomo. Ashley Ream for Northwestern is in 6. Sophia Moreno for Western is in 7. Zoe Moore for Maconaquah is in 8. So Haley Reed takes an early lead here, Will, and Haley Reed actually just swam 100 fly last year. She was a 1. With someone like Barrett Berglund, who's no longer in the 200 free as she was last year. So Haley starts out 56.28 on her first 100, followed by Macy Record, a great first 100 in 58.26. Haley definitely setting the pace for the rest of this heat. It helps the girls around, the fastest girls in the heat in these circle seeding heats, because big drops seem to come when they are next to the fastest swimmers in the pool. Absolutely, Griffin. As someone who has swam in circle seeds and is trained with people faster than me, when you see that person take off in front of you, it pushes you right behind them, and you got to give it your all to stay with that person. So for the novice swimmer, what kind of strategy here are we looking at for the 200 free? How would you approach this race? So the 200 freestyle is a very difficult event for any swimmer, and you can look at it like almost like a sprint, because there's no time to mess around as Haley Reed comes in a 156.96 record in 158.49. Anna Moore finishes 3rd in 2:04.01. 5th is Madison Baxter in 2:10.86. And in lane 7, Sophia Moreno finishes 6th in 2:19.62. But yeah, Will, this 200 freestyle takes a lot of strategy. Some people like to take it out extremely fast in that first 100. Some people like to wait a little bit longer, come home very strong. Macy Record with the fastest last 50 in the field at 30.01, a strong swim for Macy, dropping 3 seconds off her season best. So a really impressive swim there. And Anna Moore dropped 0.6 off of her time. So Aaron Matheny for Eastern finishes 7th in 2:37, and Zoe Moore wraps out the heat in 2:48. Heat 3 in the water now for the 200 freestyle. Julianne Spidell, junior from Kokomo, is in lane 1. Bridget Keller, a freshman from Guerin, is in lane 2. Isabella Amaya, sophomore from Westfield, is in lane 3. Erin Cummins, the sophomore from Carmel, is in lane 4. Sophie Resner, junior from Noblesville, is in lane 5. Kate Peck, a sophomore from Westfield, is in lane 6. Ella Kantz, senior from Eastern Grove, is in 7. And Carmen Sissel is a freshman from Western in lane 8. So Erin Cummins will 9th place in the 200 free last year at the state championships.
Yeah, something to note about Erin, if we watch her swim freestyle here, her kick is one of the best kicks I have ever seen in the water. Her stroke is so smooth and long. She uses those powerful legs to really drive her stroke. Something about swimming is it takes a lot of leg strength, constantly kicking to move yourself through the water. Also looking for a long stroke, trying to be efficient. Got to use that core, rotate your body to really grab water, pull yourself through.
100%. Erin's kick is booming this whole race. We'll see her later in the 500 freestyle as Erin competes in the 200 and the 500. But Sophie Resner for Noblesville here is having a great swim out of lane 5.
Oh yeah, absolutely. She looks like she might go a best time here pretty soon. It's gonna be close. Let's see, 30.99. It'll be close for Sophie Resner to go best time here.
So Erin is definitely, looks like she's extremely relaxed in the water. Super long front arm. Very impressive stroke from Erin here. Obviously, the goal here is to qualify for that sectional final that will be on Saturday afternoon. So once we'll get results, we will send them your way here and let you know who will be swimming again on Saturday. Aaron Cummins finishes first in 1:55.05. Sophie Resner is second in 1:59.62. Third is Isabella Amaya for Westfield, 2:02.98. Fourth is Katie Peck, 2:03.60. Fifth is Bridget Keller from Guerin, that's in 2:05.64. Sixth is Ella Kantz in 2:17.90. And as we will get staged for this fourth heat, we will be looking at this sectional final qualification. Saturday will look a lot more at the state cut. Here tonight, we just want to see these girls get into that consolation or championship final. That's the only way that they can make the state meet. So you can't win the state championship in sectional prelims, but you can definitely lose it.
Yes, absolutely. Number one thing to look out for is definitely disqualifications. Make sure all the technical details are up to par.
Here we go, heat 4 of the girls 200 freestyle. In lane 1, it's Laceney Weingartner, freshman from Maconaquah. Lane 2 is Hannah Montgomery, a junior from Maconaquah. Lane 3 is Claire Yeeke, a senior from Noblesville. Lane 4, your defending state champion, Gretchen Luking, a junior from Carmel. Lane 5, Macy Hoagland, swam this event at high school state last year. Lane 6, Caroline Santeri, a senior from Noblesville. Hannah Moore, a freshman from Northwestern, is in lane 7, and wrapping up the heat is Addie Connor, a freshman from Eastern.
Yeah, looks like a fast heat so far. Gretchen Luking having a small lead over Macy Hoagland, sorry. But yeah, they're looking pretty good. Something to note about Gretchen's stroke here is that quick breath. She really gets that breath in quick, gets her head back down, back in line to keep that speed.
Gretchen is an improved swimmer year after year, a junior now, making the A final in the last 2 years in the 200 freestyle, but don't sleep on Macy Hoagland in lane 5 here, who's having a great swim out in 55.38. Macy finished 19th at state last year and finished 4th in this sectional championship last year behind Gretchen, Aaron, and Barrett Berglund, who has switched over to the 100 freestyle. So Gretchen Luking will get to the wall first at the 150, followed by Macy Hoagland. And this is the final heat in the 200 freestyle, so we will be able to see who does qualify for Saturday's consolation and championship final.
Yeah, something important to note here is that the sectional champion automatically qualifies for state, and then anyone else who's under the sectional time, the state time in sectional finals will also qualify.
So Gretchen Luking wraps up the heat in 153.22. That's under the state cut already of 153.26. Macy Hoagland, a solid swim in 156.31. Third place is Claire Yeeke from Noblesville, 159.26. Fourth is Caroline Santeri from Noblesville, 202.88. Fifth is Hannah Moore from Northwestern, 213.38. And sixth place is Hannah Montgomery from Maconaquah, 213.86. So we will wrap up heat 4 here, and we will get moving into our next event, which is the 200 individual medley, one of the most fun events here at the girls sectional state championship. A 50 of each stroke, fly, back, breast, and free.
Yeah, I think coming into this race, a lot of strategy in here. It's essentially, this race is a sprint. Using different muscle groups on each stroke allows these girls to really take it out on every single stroke.
So here we go, heat 1 of the 200 individual medley. Anna Polakova, a junior from Western, is in lane 3. Allie Keller, a junior from Guerin, is in lane 4. And Johanna Hannikin, a freshman from Eastern, is in lane 5. So like you said, Will, this race can be looked at as a sprint. 4 50s, 4 different strokes, 4 different muscle groups in this race. And so you should be able to sprint each 50 in a different way. The back and the fly, using your underwaters, using your core, the breast, using your quad muscles, your calf muscles on that breaststroke kick, really lunging forward, using your lats and your pecs, and then obviously the freestyle long axis stroke, using that kick, that consistent kick, as well as that long stroke and that early catch in the freestyle.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a lot for these swimmers to focus on, but practicing every week, almost every day, these swimmers really have a feel for the water, and they can really just focus on race strategy.
So at the halfway mark, Allie Keller leads this field at 1:15. Split 43.87 on the backstroke. Well ahead of her best time pace at 2:59.21. So if she figures out how to have a great breaststroke leg, breaststroke's looking really good right now with the nice glide, eyes coming down after the pull, she could end up with a great best time here.
Yeah, I think we could be looking here at like a 10-second drop for Allie Keller. Very impressive here at sectional prelims. Again, lots of energy here tonight. Griffin, could you tell us about the differences this season with regards to dual meets and spectators with the pandemic going on?
Yeah, Will, so it's been a lot different. No spectators in the stands for majority of the meets, or a limited spectator show out at these meets. COVID has really taken away a lot of different things, so obviously there's been strict protocols at practice. Essentially, these swimmers have had masks on at all times until they hop in this water to swim. There's social distance in the lanes, at practice, at meets. If you can see all the way on the other side of the deck, there is 6x6 boxes of painter's tape where all the swimmers place their things during practices to ensure social distancing. So all these different things have been different than the past, but have emerged into a new normal, rolling with the punches and overcoming adversity. As Allie Keller comes in, an outstanding swim from the Guerin Jr., cutting 12 seconds here in this 200 IM. A really well put together swim from the junior.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming home in a 40.27 on that freestyle leg, which is 3 seconds faster than her backstroke split. Looking pretty strong here in the first heat.
Andrea Polakova for Western finishes second in 3:07. Well under her best time for the season in 3:23. And Joanna Hanneken, 2 seconds under her best time of 3:14 as she comes in 3:12.57 as we are staged for Heat 2. So here we go, Heat 2 of the 200 IM. The first of the circle-seated heats. Lane 1 is Grace Van Bibber, a freshman from Eastern. Juliana Hoover is in lane 2. She's a sophomore from Tipton. Janaka Hawkins is in lane 3, a senior from Kokomo. McKenna Liskey, a junior from Carmel, is in lane 4. Ellie Ketchum, a junior from Westfield, is in lane 5, joined by her teammate Alex Irvin in lane 6. Samantha Bumgardner, a senior from Northwestern, is in lane 7. And to wrap up the heat, it's Kendra Klein from Kokomo. The senior is in lane 8. So looking at this 200 medley heat, a name that jumps out at me, Will, is McKenna Liskey, who had the meet of her life at the state championships last year. McKenna finished second at state in a 2:00 behind the state champion Devin Kitchell out of Zionsville, who was named state swimmer of the year, who also happens to train at Carmel Swim Club during the off season.
Yeah, I think that's something for McKenna. That was one of her best meets ever. Watching from the stands last year, it was very clear that she was ready to go at state. With regards to Devin Kitchell, one of the things here at Carmel High School is that the Carmel Swim Club members cannot swim with the high school team. They must be in their own lanes, separate from the rest of the team. Some of the swimmers, they like to swim with the club for the high school season, and others like to swim with their home school for the season, like Devin.
Very interesting concept here in Indiana where you can actually swim 3 club meets during high school season. You have to get waivers for those. So Carmel Swim Club, Westfield Aquatics, some Noblesville Swim Club, some of the bigger clubs that are here in this sectional, but all of these swimmers from those teams usually swim year-round, compete for Carmel Swim Club or Westfield Aquatics. And you're seeing that here today as McKenna is having a great swim here in Heat 2. Followed by Ellie Ketchum, who's actually putting together a great swim. The junior from Westfield finished 5th in sectionals last year. As McKenna will finish in a 2:07.96, cruising in with a 30.86 for her last split, and Ellie Ketchum will finish second in a 2:15.62. A great swim for the junior as she finished in 2:15 in sectional finals last year, so she is much improved from the previous season. Janaka Hawkins from Kokomo, third, 2:17.01. Fourth is Alex Irvin, Ketchum's Westfield teammate in lane 6, coming in at 2:22.47. Fifth is Juliana Hoover over in lane 2 from Tipton, 2:33.03. Sixth is Samantha Bumgardner from Northwestern, 2:38.72. Seventh is Grace Van Bibber from Eastern, coming in at 2:51.77. And to finish off the heat, it will be Kendra Klein from Kokomo in 3:01.00. And the swimmers are now in the water for heat 3 of the girls' 200-yard IM. In lane 1, it will be Rachel Little from Maconaquah. Lane 2, it's Emily Lucas from Kokomo. Lane 3, Annie Spoleto from Westfield. Lane 4, Kira Kask from Carmel. Sophia Walker from Tipton is in lane 5. Sarah Fife from Noblesville is in 6. Lauren Shane from Eastern is in lane 7. And Cami Caldwell will wrap up the heat in lane 8. She is from Western High School. So, interesting story here, Will, is Kira Kask is actually a transfer from North Central, jumping into the Carmel lineup, and she's in 2 events.
Yeah, something that's really interesting at Carmel is almost every year there seems to be a girl from out of town. Something that happened years ago with Amy Bilquist moving in from the West Coast. This year with Kira. Yeah, just something interesting to see. Swimmers coming to Carmel to swim.
For better training, for better training partners. And I talked to Kira a little bit before the meet, wanted to get a feel for her season, and ultimately Washington Township was locked out of their pool for the greater amount of this COVID-19 pandemic. Kira was able to transfer to Carmel and jump right into things in June and join the team, and she's been able to excel here. As the first couple of months of training were rough, she did say she had a lot of fatigue early, but the sophomore is doing extremely well. Swam at the state championship from North Central last year, and now she is doing great things here at Carmel High School.
Yeah, definitely. Carmel is very lucky to be able to swim for the majority of the high school season. Other teams have not had that luxury, and that's something that they have had to overcome.
100% COVID has hit every team in a different way. Carmel's head coach, Chris Plumb, was knocked out early in the pandemic. Several girls have been in and out of quarantine. I know for Noblesville, they have had to deal with several different occasions of quarantine. Senior Jordan Cooley was quarantined earlier on in the season, and among others on that Noblesville team. But as we finish up heat 3 here, Kira Kask finishes first in 2:07.77. Second is Annie Spoleto, a great swim for Westfield in 2:13.54. Sophia Walker finishes 5th for Tipton in 2:17.18. Sarah Fife from Noblesville is 4th in 2:24.28. So a pretty solid swim there from Kira Kask along with Annie Spoleto. Those two look like they have earned their spot in the top 8 for Saturday afternoon. So Emily Lucas comes in 5th for Kokomo, 2:33.20. 6th is Lauren Shane for Eastern, 2:36.08. Lane 7 is Rachel Little for Maconaquah, 2:54.94. And finishing off the heat is Cami Caldwell from Western in 2:59.30 as we get ready for heat 4. Heat 4 is in the water. This last heat of the girls' 200 IM. Annie Isenberg for Maconaquah's lane 1. Ann Bolroff for Northwestern is lane 2. Abigail Hoover for Tipton, lane 3. Madeline Chrisman for Carmel is lane 4. Sammy Huff for Noblesville in lane 5. Reagan Hart, Sammy Huff's teammate for Noblesville, is in lane 6. Abby Heath for Maconaquah is in lane 7. And Burgundy Purvis is in lane 8 for Northwestern. Madeline Chrisman out to the early lead for the Carmel Greyhounds, but don't count out Sammy Huff, the defending state champion in the 100-yard breaststroke. Sammy has entered with a 2:12. Madeline entered with a 2:01, but you cannot be fooled, as Sammy Huff was able to finish last year in a 2:06 11th at state, way under her season best thus far this year.
Yes, I believe these times are from USA Swimming. Correct me if I'm wrong, Griffin.
I believe they are USA Swimming personal best times. That's what the Carmel girls used, season best times from USA Swimming. And then I think the other girls around the sectional are using their best times from this season.
That makes sense with regards to COVID and coming back from all these protocols and the shutdown back in March and April. It makes sense to use those season times to really get a feel for how these girls are going to swim.
So Madeline Crispin out to a commanding lead. She has been training the best of her life this year, as she has told me before this meet. She's really happy where she is this year. Madeline switching from the 100 free back to the 100 back, along with this 200 IM, which has been one of her staples. Crispin is an Olympic trial qualifier in both the 100 and 200 backstroke. An incredible swimmer here for the Carmel Greyhounds.
Yes, very impressive. One funny story here about Madeline is her nutrition is not quite up to par with the rest of the team. Eating lunch with her at Carmel High School, she has many cosmic brownies as desserts, always ready to eat any sweets that anybody has. Just something to know about Madeline. Still coming in at a 2:04.06, which is much faster than her last year at sectional prelims with a 2:07.1.
And Will, this state cut is 2:07.02. It looks like Madeline was here to make a statement here tonight. 2:04, 3 seconds under the state cut, followed by Sammy Huff, who goes 2:11.67, a season best time for the Noblesville senior. In third, it is Abigail Hoover from Tipton, 2:19.37. Fourth is Reagan Hart from Noblesville in 2:21.18. In fifth place, it is Ann Boroff from Northwestern, 2:30.75. In sixth, it's Abby Heath from Maconaquah, 2:44.43. Burgundy Purvis, seventh, 2:54.07. And then eighth in this heat is Annie Eisenberg, 2:15.51 in lane one. So here we go, the 50 freestyle, Will. Cut me some slack here if I don't get all these names down. This one is quick, 2 laps down and back, the fastest event we have here tonight. Lane one is Rebecca Stillwell from Kokomo. Her teammate Lily Johnson is in lane 3. Lane Sheridan from Eastern is in lane 4. Samantha Morris is in lane 5 for Tipton. Fernanda Rios Escobar from Guerin is in lane 6, and Kaylin Moe for Guerin is in lane 7.
Yeah,
there we go.
Absolutely, Griffin. This race is the pinnacle of sprinting and swimming. Many of these swimmers will try and take as few breaths as they can, as breathing actually slows you down when swimming, believe it or not.
And always a close one is this 50 freestyle. First will go to Lily Johnson from Kokomo in 30.40, followed by Rios Escobar, that's from Guerin, 30.43. Third is 31.48, that's Samantha Morris. Fourth in lane 4 is Lane Sheridan. Fifth, Rebecca Stillwell from Kokomo. And sixth in this heat is Kaylin Moe. So here we go, heat 2 of the girls 50 freestyle. Arbel Ewing from Eastern, a junior, is in lane 1. Olivia Bell, a sophomore from Westfield, is in lane 2. Maya McDonald, a freshman from Noblesville, is in lane 3. Maggie Love, a senior from Carmel, is in lane 4. Abby Harvey, senior from Noblesville, is in lane 5. Lauren Martin, sophomore from Northwestern, is in lane 6. Alex Rosales, a sophomore from Northwestern, in lane 7. And Rachel Hillman, a senior from Kokomo, is in lane 8. As Maggie Love switched over from the 2 IM to the 50 free.
Yeah,
a big change in difference, but she looks great tonight.
Very good swim from Maggie, 23.86. Pretty close to a best time if I'm not mistaken here.
Looks like it was just under her best time, just 3/100, so pretty much equaled her best time ever. But that is under the state cut. A great swim for Maggie here. She has transitioned events here during her senior year. So, like I said, Will, this one goes quick. We're already to heat 3 of the girls 50 free. Millie Hallbeck, Western, is in lane 1. Kaylin Guerin is from Maconaquah in lane 2. Ava Friedman in lane 3 from Westfield. Colleen Duffy in 4 from Carmel. Jalen Harrison from Northwestern is in 5. Amelia Field is in lane 6 from Noblesville. Thea Tyra from 7 is in 7 from Maconaquah, and Madison Connolly from Western is in lane 8. Something to note, Colleen Duffy has been in the A final of the 50 free. 2 of her 3 years in high school, was runner-up as a sophomore in 6th place last year.
Yeah, Colleen works, one of the hardest workers I have seen on this girls' team. She looking like she's having a great swim here her senior year at sectional prelims. 23.66, just about 5/10 off her best time. Griffin, what do you think?
A great swim unsuited for Colleen Duffy under the state cut in prelims. Nothing to complain about there, as Colleen was 24.45 last year in prelims. Almost a full second in the 50. It's pretty good here early. Second is Erica Hunkler, who swam the 100 free at state last year for Guerin. She finishes in 24.39. Something interesting is about Erica, or Erica's actually in this next heat. That was Jalen Harrison from Northwestern, who had a great swim there in lane 5. Here we go, lane 4, or heat 4. Lane 1 is Ella Flaherty from Eastern. Casey Hoover is in lane 2 from Tipton. Her teammate Ashlyn Van Kite is in 3. Megan Chrisman is in 4. Erica Hunkler is in this heat in lane 5. Madison Putt is in lane 6. Chase Hayes is in lane 7, and Madeline Lorenz is in lane 8. So like I was saying, Will, Erica is one of the only Guerin swimmers to ever make the state championship meet. I thought that was something to note. And Megan Chrisman finished 2nd place at the state championships in this race as a freshman last year.
Yeah, once again, Carmel with the young talent, many sophomores and juniors on this team really leading the charge here.
So Megan comes in at 23.97. That will be good enough for 3rd place in the sectional final on Saturday. It looks like Colleen will take the top spot, followed by Madison Putt in 2nd for Westfield, 25.20. A great swim for the Westfield junior, over a 2nd drop there. So as we hit the break here in the meet, we will start looking at our results from the first half of the meet. So the 200 medley relay, the 200 free, the 200 IM, and the 50 free. As those results come in, we will try to get you the information to the best of our ability to see who will be in those finals on Saturday afternoon. We will be right back on CHTV with those results. This is Griffin Hadley and Will Plumb from Carmel High School at the Eric Clark Activity Center. Welcome back to our broadcast booth here at Carmel High School. Griffin Hadley alongside William Plumb. So we do have the results here for the medley relay and the 200 freestyle, the 200 IM, and the 50 freestyle. So we'll try to get you the results of those races. So who's going to be swimming on Saturday afternoon? So Will, in the 200 medley relay, first is Carmel, second Westfield, third Noblesville, fourth Northwestern, fifth Kokomo, sixth Tipton, seventh Guerin Catholic, and eighth Western. Anything that stood out in those races for you?
Yeah, I think the teams are very excited here today to swim a championship meet in high school, something that really hasn't been happening this year with COVID. I know mixed championships happened probably about a month ago, but this is really the first true high school championship meet that a lot of these swimmers are able to swim this year.
So let's look at the 200 freestyle, starting with the consolation final. Hannah Montgomery squeezes in 16th place, followed by Hannah Moore, 15th, Madison Baxter, 14th, Ashley Ream, 13th, Bridget Keller, 12th, Anna Moore, 11th, Kate Peck is 10th, and Isabella Amaya is wrapping up that consolation final in 9th. As we move to the championship final, 8th Caroline Santeri, 7th Sophie Resner, 6th Claire Yiki, 5th Macy Record, 4th Haley Reed, 3rd Macy Hoagland, 2nd Erin Cummins, and 1st is the defending state champion Gretchen Luking. Will, any thoughts on the 200 freestyle?
Yeah, again, I think this year with COVID, there's no fans, and I think maybe swimmers feel less pressure without
100%.
all their team here, all the parents, everyone here to watch. I think it kind of alleviates pressure, gets it off their shoulders, and they can just focus on swimming.
As we move into the girls' 200-yard IM rather. So we will start with 16th. Lauren Shane for Eastern finishes 16th. Emily Lucas, 15th. Juliana Hoover, 14th. Ann Boroff, 13th. Sarah Fife, 12th. Alex Irvin, 11th. Reagan Hart, 10th. Abigail Hoover, 9th. Sophia Walker is 8th. Janaka Hawkins is 7th. Ellie Ketchum is 6th. Annie Spoleto, her teammate, is 5th. Sammy Huff from Noblesville is 4th. McKenna Liskey is 3rd for Carmel. Kira Kask 2nd. And of course, Madeline Crispin in 1st, 3 seconds under that state cut. So Will, in the 200 IM, we saw a lot of great races. What do you think these girls are thinking about going into Saturday, wanting to get down to 207, that state cut?
All right, I think they're gonna look back at how they swam these races and how they can improve. Maybe the start, maybe the turn, maybe they didn't swim it like they wanted to here.
Those
prelims.
IM transitions, right? Fly to back to breast, breast to free. All places where these girls can definitely improve on Saturday as we move into the 50-yard freestyle, our last event of this first third of the meet. So 16th for Tipton is Cassie Hoover, 15th for Chase Hayes, or 15th is Chase Hayes for Western. Kaylin T. Guerin is from Maconaquah is 14th. Lauren Martin, 13th for Northwestern. Olivia Bell from Westfield is 12th. Amelia Field for Noblesville is 11th. Ashlyn Van Kite, 10th for Tipton, and Ava Friedman wraps up the consolation final for Westfield. And then we move into our A final. All of these swimmers separated by only a second and a half. 8th is Abby Harvey from Noblesville. Erica Hunkler is 7th. Madison Putt with a 1-second drop is 6th. Maya McDonald from Noblesville, almost a second drop, is 5th. Jalen Harrison, 4th from Northwestern. Megan Chrisman is 3rd from Carmel. Maggie Love, jumping into the 50 free, is 2nd. And Colleen Duffy, the senior from Carmel, is 1st. So our splash and dash, the 50-yard freestyle, it goes really fast. There's, you could say, little room for improvement going into Saturday. However, some people will be putting on suits. Some people aren't necessarily used to the blocks here at Carmel High School. What do you think is the most crucial point of the 50 free? Because to be honest, Will, the 50 free is the event where there's no room for error.
Absolutely. I think the two things that are most important about the 50 are going to be the start and the turn.
Yep.
If you're not good off the start, you get a slow start, you're going to be way behind, and you only have 50 yards. Probably at that point, only about 30 yards to really catch up. And then you have the turn on top of that. So I think that start, those golfing kicks, are really important here in the 50.
So wrapping up the first third of the meet is the 50-yard freestyle. We will get right back to the action in the 100-yard butterfly when we come back here on Carmel Television. Will Plumb and Griffin Hadley here for CHTV. Stay right here. We'll be right back with more swimming here at Carmel High School. Welcome back to CHTV for the second half of the meet at the 2021 IHSAA Sectional Championships here at Carmel High School. To get things started, we have the 100-yard butterfly. In lane 3, it's Mara Shook from Eastern. In lane 4, it's Lily Johnson from Kokomo. And in lane 5, Isabel Marley from Tipton. And Will, the butterfly is said by some to be the most grueling stroke.
Yes, Griffin. As a coach myself, who coaches the younger generation here at Carmel Swim Club, I make it a point to teach them that butterfly really isn't as bad as it seems. The number one thing that people make a mistake here on butterfly is they try to swim too far up towards the ceiling, which is not what you want to do. You want to try and flow your body forward, almost like a dolphin, which is why the butterfly kick is called a dolphin kick.
I would say when working with the little kids, it's all about rhythm. It's almost like a dance. It's like kick, pull, 2 kicks per stroke. You always want to be able to use your core in this stroke, because if your arms tire out early, you're in trouble.
Yeah, it's brutal, especially as you get older and you start to swim. In club season, the 200-yard butterfly, which is double the distance
The pain
of this
train.
100. Yeah, absolutely. Especially long course meters, any 200 butterfly, you got to have that rhythm, just like you teach those little kids when you're younger.
Finishing first in this heat is Lily Johnson from Kokomo. A big time drop for Johnson of over 2 seconds. A great swim from the Kokomo junior. In second is Isabel Marley from Tipton, 139.49. And in third is Mara Shook from Eastern in 149 with a nice 2-second drop for the senior as we get staged for heat 2 of the girls' 100-yard butterfly. In lane 1, it will be Rebecca Crabtree from Eastern. Lane 2 will be Allie Keller from Guerin. Lane 3, Jordan Cooley, a senior from Noblesville. Parker Kurzawa, the sophomore from Carmel, is in lane 4. Madison Putt, we just saw her in the 50 free. She's a junior from Westfield in lane 5. Olivia Kunkel is a junior from Guerin in lane 6. And wrapping up heat 2 is Cammie Caldwell in lane 7 for Western. So, early thoughts, Will. Lane 5, Madison Putt really going for it here on this first 50.
Yes, absolutely here, Griffin. With regards to Parker Kurzawa, this is her first time swimming for the girls' high school team here at state or sectional prelims. So it's very interesting to see how she responds to this first-time experience.
I would agree with you, Will. Parker, a sophomore for this Carmel Greyhound team, stepping in as the 100 fly had 2 seniors on the Carmel lineup last year. Meredith Berglund, who's a sophomore, or a freshman at South Carolina, and Avery Williams, who is a freshman at Indiana University. As Parker has moved up into their spot here, as Parker comes in with a 58.24. Madison Putt from Westfield comes in with a 00.31. Third is Jordan Cooley from Noblesville in 101.35. Followed by Olivia Kunkel in 105.44. Fifth is Allie Keller, Kunkel's teammate from Guerin in 112.98. In lane 7, Cammie Caldwell will finish 6th in 125.28. And wrapping up the heat is Rebecca Crabtree from Eastern in 130.99. So heat 3, we will see Haley Reed for the second time in this heat. Lane 1 is Kendra Klein from Kokomo. Lane 2, Neveja Sebastian from Maconaquah. Lane 3, Caroline Bath from Northwestern. Lane 4 is Haley Reed from Carmel. Hannah Jones for Westfield will be in lane 5. Gracie Burns, a freshman from Western, is in lane 6. Erin Renyon from Guerin is in lane 7. And Abby Evil Sizer from Northwestern is in lane 8. And first impressions here, Will, a very nice dolphin kick from both Reed and Jones here early.
Yes, absolutely. As you see here on this turn, it's very crucial to use those dolphin kicks. Really use the whole body, not just your legs, after that turn. Something about Haley here is she is one of the most endurance athletes in terms of butterfly that I have trained with in the past. Watching her swim butterfly especially during those summer long course practices. It's a sight to see.
She is an extremely impressive racer, but an even more impressive trainer here at Carmel High School, as Haley Reed will finish first in 56.57, followed by Hannah Jones in 58.92. A big-time cheer from her Westfield teammates as Hannah Jones drops 2 seconds there to break a minute for the first time. Catherine Bath will finish third in 101.47. Gracie Burns finishes fourth in 105.44, followed by Erin Renyon, 111.46. Neveja Sebastian for Maconaquah, 113.13. Abby Evosizer for Northwestern is seventh. And Kendra Klein wraps up the heat in lane 1. She is 8th. So here we go, the last heat of the 100 fly. Gretchen Luking will be back in the pool for the Carmel Greyhounds. Lane 1, Annie Isenberg from Maconaquah. Lane 2, Ann Boroff from Northwestern. Alexa Bolat from Westfield is in lane 3. Gretchen Luking is in lane 4 for Carmel. Lane 5 is Caitlin Marshall, a senior from Noblesville. Emily Knott, a freshman from Noblesville, is in lane 6. Cora Kendall, a junior from Eastern, is in lane 7. And Rachel Little, a senior from Maconaquah, is in lane 8. Now, Caitlin Marshall swam the 100 butterfly at state last year. However, her best time is all the way back from her sophomore year of high school.
Yeah, I think this year, she really has a shot of going that best time once again. Already out really fast here with a 27.3. That looks to be faster than her sectional prelims last year.
Marshall, 49.37 last year in prelims for Noblesville. And Gretchen Luking, probably the biggest blockbuster switch of a lineup here, as Gretchen got second in state in the 100 freestyle last year, but to shift around the points has moved into the 100 butterfly for the Carmel Greyhounds this year, as 3 girls break a minute here in heat 4. One of our fastest heats here tonight. Gretchen Luking with a 56, Caitlin Marshall with a 58, a great time for her. And then 59.45 is Alexa Boylat from Westfield, dropping 2 seconds. A great swim for the Westfield sophomore. She's followed by Emily Knott in lane 6, who is 4th. Ann Boroff is 5th. Cora Kendall is 6th, followed by Rachel Little and Annie Isenberg as we move into the 100-yard freestyle. Something interesting about the 100 freestyle is some of these swimmers are really good at both the 100 free and the 100 fly, but since they are back-to-back, they are unable to swim both events because of rest.
Yeah, absolutely. Quite the difficult double, especially since the 100 freestyle is also right before the 500 freestyler. So freestylers not looking too happy with the state lineup. Freestyle events back-to-back in state and sectional.
Something interesting to note, it is 7:30 right now. Caitlin Marshall just swam the 100 fly. We will see her again in the 500-yard freestyle, so a very quick turnaround for the Noblesville senior. As we get started in this 100 free, lane 1 is Amelia Servias from Tipton. Lane 2 is Lillian Schallenberger from Eastern. Ella Flannery is in lane 4 from Eastern. Abby Jordan from Maconaquah is in lane 5. Meg Shetmaski is in lane 6 from Guerin, and Rebecca Stillwell from Kokomo is in lane 7.
Yeah, Griffin, back to Caitlin Marshall. It looks like she's going to be in the last heat of the 500 freestyle, which is really nice for her as she gets 3 heats, probably going to be around 7 to 8 minutes. So that's about 25 minutes of extra rest for Caitlin Marshall. A
big time break for Marshall, as if she was in that first or second heat of the 500, she would have been in trouble, as the 100 free is very fast. Ella Flaherty already coming in at a 104.09. A great time here for the Eastern senior, dropping several tenths off of her season best. She is followed by Meg Shenmaski down in lane 6 in 106.37, followed by Schallenberger from Eastern. So now we enter the seeded heats of the 100 freestyle, one of the most exciting races here, in my opinion, Will. 4 laps of freestyle, kicks are booming. You can definitely tell when freestylers in the water here at Carmel High School, because this white water behind these swimmers is out of control.
Yes, absolutely. I think walking in to the pool, it's gonna feel like you're at Niagara Falls. I know that's something that is taught at many swim clubs across the nation, you want to have that big freestyle kick, like you said, white water. It should almost be like thunder, and everyone on the pool deck should be able to hear your kick.
Thunder kick. One of the famous lines here from Carmel Swim Club, as taught at a young age, is very important in all the strokes, but especially freestyle, is to have that thunder kick, to have that super fast, consistent kick throughout the freestyle races, because obviously freestyle backstroke being long axis strokes, very kick-driven strokes as well.
Yes, Griffin, absolutely. I think some of the training sets here at Carmel are very geared towards that kick. Here at Carmel, kicking a lot is a big focus, especially getting your stroke count down as well with that kick.
Yes. Saw her. Sophomore from Carmel. Jalen Harrison, the junior from Northwestern, is in lane 5. She had a great 50 free earlier tonight. Amelia Field from Noblesville is in lane 6. Paige Wilson, the sophomore from Kokomo, is in lane 7. And Kate Swack, the senior from Guerin, is in lane 8. Kira Kask out very fast here in 25.71. However, Harrison is leading the pack at the first 50.
Yeah, something to note about these hundreds, Griffin, is that second 50 really shows how much training you have put into these hundreds. As you can be a great 50 freestyler, but it's really that second 50 that separates the good from the great.
So Harrison and Kask coming down to the wire here in sectional prelims. A great swim from both swimmers. Kask touches first in 52.86, followed by Harrison not far behind, 53.17. Great swim for Harrison, coming in with a 54.90 entry time. Third is Ashlyn Van Kuyp for Tipton in 56.11. Fourth is Amelia Field from Noblesville. So here we go, heat 3. We will see Barrett Berglund individually for the first time, the sophomore from Carmel, swim the 200 free last year, switching over to the sprint, the 100 free this year. So lane 1 will be Genesis Everling from Western. Lane 2, Kaylin Teagarden from Maconaquah. Macy Record is in lane 3 from Kokomo. Barrett Berglund is in lane 4, the sophomore from Carmel. Macy Hoagland had a great 200 free earlier. She is a junior from Westfield in lane 5. Abby Harvey, a senior from Noblesville, squeaked into the A final of the 50 free earlier tonight. Lauren Martin and Helen Fivecoat, the two Northwestern teammates, are in 7 and 8. So Barrett Berglund looking extremely strong and relaxed here early.
Yeah, absolutely. She just took out a 24.94. That is smoking for sectional prelims. I think one thing to note here at Carmel, there's a lot of reshuffling of this roster. Like we mentioned earlier in the 100 butterfly, 2 graduating seniors have left to go swim in college, and Carmel's had to reshuffle their roster in order to fill those gaps.
2 new names in the 100 freestyle for Carmel. Barrett Berglund comes in with a screaming fast time for sectional prelims in 51.67. That's good enough to be under the state cut time of 52.24. Second will be Macy Hoagland, a great time for her in 53.88 as she was entered with a 54.21. Third is Macy Record for Kokomo. Dropped a little bit off of her entry time of 55.11. And the rest of the heat follows with Yakey, Williams, Hoover, shoot. Oh, that's the next heat. It switched on me, Will. The board did switch on me. So
yeah, you got to be careful about that.
We're definitely moving through here in prelims. So the next heat reads Natatorium from Maconaquah. Casey Hoover is in this heat. Lane 2 from Tipton, Ava Friedman. In 3 from Westfield. Lane 4 is Megan Chrisman, the sophomore from Carmel. Erica Hunkler is back in the water for Guerin. In lane 5, Claire Yeeke is in 6 for Noblesville. Lola Williams for Eastern is in lane 7. And Olivia Shoemaker wraps out the heat for Western. So very interesting. 3 sophomores for Carmel are in this race here this year.
Once again, those young swimmers from Carmel, just feels like they keep coming. I don't know where they come from. One thing to note about last year's 100 freestyle is that both Chrisman sisters swam this event. I don't really know how each of them felt about racing each other. They're probably pretty excited. Could have been some bad blood, a little rivalry. action going on.
Younger sister got the best of older sister last year. Now older sister moves on to the 100 back. However, Megan Crispin does finish in a 51.87, good enough to be under that state cut time here in prelims. A great swim for Megan. Second is Erica Hunkler, a solid swim in 54.25. Third in lane 6 is Claire Yiki for Noblesville, followed by Friedman in 3. And in 2 in 1:00.67. That was Cassie Hoover. So we will move on to the long distance event here in high school swimming, which is the 500. You get into some USA Swimming Club meets and you can sit through the mile, 66 laps of this 25-yard pool. However, just at this IHSAA State Championship, we get the 500 for our distance event here tonight.
Yeah, only 20 laps. As a distance swimmer myself, it can be nerve-wracking seeing those numbers slowly go up as you trudge through the water, but it's important to have a good mindset and saying, that's what lap I'm on, now I just gotta finish strong.
I agree with you, Will. Not a distance swimmer myself. However, a lot of distance training here at Carmel. A lot of threshold freestyle, trying to hold pace. And you can speak from experience here. As we set up for the 500, what do you think are some of the most important things going in? You have your kick count, you have your stroke count, but you also have pace that's inside of your head that you work on practice every single day as a distance swimmer.
Yeah, Griffin, I think we swim about 2 days of threshold a week, really working that 500 pace. I think it's important for
Yeah, as we look over to the other side of this Carmel High School Natatorium, there is the warm-up, warm-down pool, and we do see some coaches over there warming up their swimmers with their watches, getting their 50 splits, trying to get warmed up, trying to get synced up for this race, as it is easy on 20 laps to kind of get in a zone, get too comfortable or get uncomfortable in your race. You always want to get zoned into your time, feel good, feel ready to go, and relax in this long 500 swim.
Yes, it's very important to get into that pace early. Like you said, you could get caught at, let's say, a pace that you really didn't want to hold and you wanted to be a second faster.
100%.
So you got to be ready for that first 100. I think the most important part of this race is going to be that middle 200. So that second 100, that third 100, even that fourth 100 to set up that last 100 of this race.
100%. Some people like to look at it as 2 250s. Some people like to look at it as 5 100s. No matter how you shake it up, no matter how you slice it up, dial it in, it's definitely interesting as these distance swimmers like to look at these races in a different way. So in this first heat, it is Zoe Moore from Maconaquah in lane 3. Addie Connor from Eastern is in lane 4. And Carmen Sissel is in lane 5 for Western. So, Will, we are 4 laps in here to the 500, and as we have a little bit more time here in the 500, it is definitely interesting to talk about Saturday, to talk about the sectional final and preview what it means to make that final and what it means to make the state championship. There's obviously goals for these swimmers tonight and Saturday afternoon. And some of these swimmers have bigger goals, making it to state prelims and ultimately making it to the state championship final in 2 Saturdays downtown at the IUPUI Natatorium. So let's talk a little bit about Saturday. What do you think is going through some of the minds of the kids? They know they've made the A or B final. What is their goal in those swims on Saturday?
Right. So in order to qualify for the state prelims next Friday, you're going to either have to win the entire sectional championship final or go faster than the state cut qualifying time, which in this case is going to be the 16th place average from
the last 3 years. Yep.
Yes, exactly. So those times change every single year. So if you got the time last year, you might not get it this year. It only comes down to that Saturday race.
So we'll pull up some stats here, Will, but what's very interesting is you have your sectional winners, and in this case, with Carmel and Noblesville and Westfield, this is one of the fastest sectionals in the entire state. So for the most part, yes, the sectional winner makes it, but we usually see 2 to 3 girls make it in every single event here at the Carmel Noblesville sectional. So this sectional does alternate between Noblesville and Carmel year by year. And what's interesting is we will see the guys sectional championship occur at Noblesville High School in 2 weeks. So in front of us, I have the at-large cut times from last year, but ultimately you can make the meet by getting the cut time in the race on Saturday. You have to go that time to make the state meet. If you go it during a dual meet early on in the season, you get a pat on the back, you get a crisp high five from coach.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter unless you do it in the state tournament, which is very unique for Indiana. Something I know about Ohio is if you go the time, you're going to state, right? So as we look at the girls, and we'll just pick out the 500, the cut last year was a 5:05. However, 32 girls can make the meet from the state, and 5:06.89 was the slowest time over the cut to make the meet. So what that is called is an invite, or you get pulled into the meet. So something we'll talk about later as this 500 gets underway is Caitlin Marshall and Vivian Wilson, 2 swimmers that we'll see later tonight, both got pulled into the 500. So they were over the cut in the sectional final. However, 5 girls from the state last year got pulled in because that cut was just too dang fast, right?
Yeah.
And they had to pull in some girls. So something unique about the state championship tournament is there is several ways to make the meet. However, if you want to get in, you got to go get that cut.
Yeah, I like to compare it almost to like quarters in football. Let's say in order to make that third and fourth quarter, that second half, you have to go that time in the second quarter. You can score as many points as you want as a football game in the first quarter, but if you're not really holding that second, third, fourth quarter together, you might not win.
The Super Bowl is this Sunday, right, Will?
Yep.
Kansas City Chiefs versus the Tampa Bay Bucks, right? I know this is a swim meet. However, Coach Plumb, head coach of Carmel High School, likes to look at the state championship tournament like a football or a basketball game, right? You cannot win the state championship in the first quarter. Like Tom Brady can't go win the Super Bowl in the first quarter. He can be up, but he can't go win. He can't go win in the second quarter, but he can advance and put his team in the right position. Same thing with Carmel. They want to continue their streak this year. 34 state championships in a row here, shooting for 35, and they cannot get to that 35th state championship if you don't move through the 4 quarters of the championship. So we got to get from prelims to finals at sectionals. Then you got to go from sectional finals to state prelims. Then you get to that third quarter, and then you get to that final stretch. Get your 4s up, because the final quarter, the state championship finals, is where you make your money. It's where you cash in. It's where you go win your individual and your relay state championships. It's where you go score points for your school to hold up that trophy at the very end of the tournament.
Yeah, Griffin. I think one thing that's important to remember, especially if we're comparing swimming, believe it or not, to football, is like you said earlier, you can't win state at sectional prelims, but you can definitely lose it. For example, let's take it back to the Super Bowl when Peyton Manning and the Broncos played the Seattle Seahawks. The first play of the game was a safety for the Seahawks. So they took a 2-0 lead, and they never looked back. So you got to be careful here at sectional prelims.
A great example, Madeline Chrisman went for that 200 IM. She tried to put her foot down, boom. I'm going the state cut in prelims. I'm showing that I've got what it takes to make it to that state meet. And we saw the same thing in some of the other events. So results are now in for our 100 butterfly and our 100 freestyle, the 2 events that we just saw in this second half of the meet. So we'll look at the results down to 16th place. Those are the swimmers that will be swimming on Saturday afternoon to compete for a state cut time. We will get to those results right after we finish up this first heat of the 500 free. Lane 4, Addie Connor finishes at 7:11 in lane 4. Carmel Sissel for Western will finish second in 7:17. And third place will be Zoe Moore from Maconaquah. So looking at the 100-yard butterfly, in 16th was Neveja Sebastian from Maconaquah. 16th was Allie Keller from Guerin. 14th was Erin Runyon from Guerin. 13th, Erin Boroff from Northwestern. 11th was Gracie Burns from Western. Olivia Kunkel from Guerin was 11th. Emily Knott from Noblesville was 10th. And Catherine Bath was 9th from Northwestern. So that is your consolation final. That is your heat that previews the championship final. The 8 swimmers that will compete for the sectional championship will be Jordan Cooley, Madison Putt, Alexa Bolat, Hannah Jones, Caitlin Marshall, Parker Kurzawa, Gretchen Luking, and Haley Reed was the top qualifier in the sectional prelims. What stood out to you there, Will, in that 100-yard butterfly?
I think we saw a lot of fast swims from the people that know they need to swim fast in order to make that championship final. And we saw some tune-ups from those who are going to be the top seeds in that championship final.
100% as we get going in Heat 2 of this 500 freestyle. Sophia Moreno from Western will be in 1. Lydia Jones, a senior from Maconaquah, will be in 2. Anna Moore, a sophomore from Western, will be in 3. Ashley Swingewood, a junior from Carmel. First swim ever in the state tournament. In 4, Ellie Ketchum. In 5, a junior from Westfield who had a great swim earlier this evening. Hannah Montgomery, a junior from Maconaquah, is in 6. And Emily Griggs, a senior from Kokomo, is in lane 7. So now we have the results for the 100-yard freestyle. As we will read the top 16 names, once again, these will be the swimmers competing on Saturday afternoon in the sectional final. So your consolation final is Paige Wilson, a sophomore from Kokomo, in 16th, followed by Cassie Hoover in 15th, Lauren Martin 14th, Elizabeth Marti in 13th, Abby Harvey in 12th, Amelia Field 11th, Ashleen Van Kite in 10th, and Ava Friedman wraps up the consolation final, the Westfield junior in 9th. So now the championship final, who will be competing for the 100 freestyle sectional championship. Claire Yeeke in 8th from Noblesville, Macy Record from Kokomo, Erica Hunkler from Guerin, Macy Hoagland in 5th from Westfield, Jalen Harrison, a great swim for Northwestern, almost a 2-second drop, qualified 4th. And then you have the 3 Carmel teammates, Kira Kask 3rd, Megan Crispin 2nd, and Barrett Berglund 1st. All 3 sophomores from Carmel High School.
Yeah, something about that 100 freestyle, Griffin. There's only 1 senior in that championship final. So we're going to see a lot of these swimmers back here next year swimming the 100 freestyle.
Always fun. Always fun to see the improvement year by year. Megan Crispin, for example, goes 51.87 to qualify second this year. And last year in the 100 freestyle and sectional prelims, Megan was 52.72, so almost a full second drop. A little bit of improvement from her freshman year. Always awesome to see. The top time in sectionals last year was a 52.14 from Gretchen Luking, and we saw 2 people under that time this year, so the sectional a little bit faster. We saw some pretty impressive heats there in the 100-yard freestyle.
Yeah, and I think moving into this 500 freestyle as we hit the 200 mark, we're starting to see these swimmers really just making sure they can make it back to finals here. For example, Ashley Swindred out in a 204. It looks like she's going to be holding 32s the rest of the way, Griffin.
Something interesting about the 500 from these circle-seeded heats is if you get out to an early lead, you don't necessarily have to go for that state cut-in prelims. The 500 is something that wears your muscles down. If you go for the 500, you're crawling out of the pool at the end. Muscles are tired, quads are locking up, lats are tired from that awesome early catch and those big pulls. So I think in this 500, you might see a little bit more relaxing in the strokes, especially from the leaders here early from Carmel and from Westfield in this heat.
Yeah, I think one thing that's important here, it's almost to treat this like a training 500. I know some swimmers in the past have had very low heart rates coming out of this race, which is very interesting to see, but definitely just looking to make it back to Saturday.
Ashley Swingewood in this event for the first time for the Carmel Greyhounds, replacing a senior, Morgan Croning, who's swimming at Ohio this year as a freshman, who made the A final at the state championship last year. Ashley, one of only 2 swims for Carmel that have their entry times over the state cut, but Ashley will put on a suit on Saturday. I wouldn't be surprised if she has an outstanding swim for Carmel. The girls have a very unified team this year. All the teams around the state have been through a lot. I talked to Sammy Huff from Noblesville a little bit, the senior defending state champ in the 100 breast. They've said this season has looked a lot different all across the sectional. And it's been really interesting to see these swimmers deal with adversity, establish a new normal in practice. in dual meets, and even traditions, because with Carmel, 34 state championships in a row, there's a lot of traditions. Dinners, post-meet get-togethers, team bonding activities in person, all of that shifting to Zoom and virtual and group FaceTimes. It's just not the same. The emotion is not necessarily in the room, so to speak. However, it looks like there's no slowing down these Carmel girls. The only thing before next week is to stay healthy and to stay socially distant.
I think you bring up a great point, Griffin. This year, the number one thing for a lot of these swimmers is just to stay healthy. A 2-week quarantine, while it is in order to stay safe, actually takes a lot away from your training in the pool.
100%. Comparing swimming to other sports that we see in the IHSAA that have already had state tournaments, and even when quarantine started this summer, if you look back to April or even March, swimming in Indiana, I mean, it gets pretty chilly outside. And for cross-country runners and track runners, and even football players, you can go outside and you can go run. You can go do your training. You can go do your pace for cross-country. You can go throw a football with your dad, with your wide receiver, throw a mask on. But it's very hard to find a pool when every single facility is shut down in the middle of Indiana, especially in March.
Oh, yeah. I remember last year getting that shutdown message from Carmel Clay Schools in our case. It's definitely something to watch. I remember going back, we had to cancel practice. The senior state championships for the clubs around the state was canceled. It was heartbreaking for many. And yes, we have the results for this heat of the 500.
So the second heat of the 500, Ashley Swingewood does finish first, 15 seconds ahead of second, which is Ellie Ketchum for Westfield. Third is Anna Moore from Western in 5:47. Fourth, Emily Griggs from Kokomo. And Hannah Montgomery from Maconaquah is fifth, followed by Lydia Jones and Sophie Moreno as we get set for heat 3 of the 500. We're moving here, Will. We're getting through them.
Oh, yeah. We only got 2 more heats of this 500 to go, and the rest of the meet is going to feel really fast.
So in this heat of the 500, it will be Kathleen Riley from Tipton, Madison Baxter from Northwestern, Bridget Keller from Guerin, she's a freshman in lane 3, Vivian Wilson, who got pulled into the state meet last year, is in lane 4 for Carmel, Isabella Amaya is in lane 5 from Westfield, Katie Kramer from Noblesville is in 6, Rachel Hillman from Kokomo is in lane 7, and from Eastern, it's Erin Nathany in lane 8. Don't go anywhere. The cameras will stay on during the 500. This has been Griffin, Hadley, and Will Plumb for CHTV. We will be right back after heat 3 of the 500 freestyle. So wrapping up heat 3 of the 500 freestyle, we're back here on CHTV. Griffin Hadley alongside Will Plumb here inside the Carmel High School Natatorium, inside the historic Eric Clark Activity Center here at Carmel High School on this snowy day in Carmel, Indiana. Vivian Wilson came in first here in heat 3, a great swim of 5:08.82. Vivian swam a 5:17 in prelims for sectionals last year, so I'd say much improved from the previous year. Not messing around here on Thursday night. Isabella Almaya came in at a 5:30.33 in second. And in third is Bridget Keller from Guerin, 5:32.71. Fourth, Katie Kramer from Noblesville, 5:54.68. Fifth is Madison Baxter, Northwestern, 5:55.14. And sixth, Rachel Hillman from Kokomo, 6:12.56. And as we get into heat 4 of this 500 freestyle, Will, something to think about is for the novice swim fan out there, what does it take to be in shape for this 500 freestyle or even any of these races? The 200 IM, the 200 freestyle, and the 500 freestyle, known to be some of the tougher high school events as they are a little bit longer, but 100 fly, 100 free, 100 back, all of these events have their strengths and weaknesses in training and their toughness that it takes to train for all of these events. So we're on the 500 freestyle. What do you think it takes mentally for these ladies to get ready for this longer event?
I think you gotta really be prepared to hurt in this race. You have to be okay with it.
Accept the pain almost.
Yeah, you gotta embrace it, embrace the suck, as some people like to say. Definitely when you hit that halfway point, you just gotta keep going. Each 50, you gotta try a little bit harder in order to even hold your pace that you've been holding.
So here we go, heat 4 of the 500 freestyle. Aubrey Sparling from Northwestern is in lane 1. Her teammate Hannah Moore is in lane 2. In 3, it's Kate Peck from Westfield. In lane 4, Erin Cummins from Carmel. Erin was 4th at state last year, very impressive. Caitlin Marshall is back in the water, swam the 100 fly a little bit ago. We'll see if she has more time here tonight or Saturday in between fly and 500 free. In lane 6, it is Reagan Hart, Caitlin's teammate. In lane 6 from Noblesville, Lauren Shane in 7 from Eastern High School. In lane 8, it is Rylan Winnell from Kokomo.
Yeah, Griffin, I think going back to your point about how do swimmers stay in shape, what exactly are we doing to get better at our sport? I think the number one thing is making shapes in and out of the water. For example, that freestyle catch, you gotta get that high elbow, almost like a triangle with your arm, in order to grab the most water and be very efficient.
I agree, Will. As you look at the middle of the pool, Erin Cummins, Caitlin Marshall, 2 swimmers who have swam at state in this event several times, both who swam in state 2020 in the 500 freestyle. And what you notice is they have that early vertical forearm, that elbow bends as the hand approaches the front of the stroke, and they get that high elbow catch in order to be efficient in the water, something that's very important in the 500 freestyle, where you're taking strokes and more strokes and more strokes. And then you hit the 250 and you're halfway home and you take even more strokes on that back half of the race.
Yeah, Griffin, I absolutely agree with you. Coming up here on the 7th lap, it's gonna start hitting that they're swimming a 500 and not a 200. And so I think hitting that 200 wall and saying, I have a 300 left to swim, you gotta be ready to push your body.
So as swimming is picking up all over the country, Olympic trials is coming here this summer for USA Swimming. And a great quote from one of the best swimmers in the country, Ryan Murphy, an Olympic champion in the 100, 200 backstroke. What he said about his race a few weeks ago is that he wanted to feel pain. He wanted to feel pain early in his race, and he wanted to accept that feeling on his muscles and be able to accept it and deal with it over the course of his race. So I feel like that applies here to the 500 freestyle, Will, in that these athletes are going out, Erin in 2:32, right around a minute base pace here early. But like I was saying, Will, it's like they have to establish the pain early, establish their pace, accept it, and then try to build on from that.
Yeah, these ladies cannot be afraid to hurt here in the 500. If you're scared to hurt, especially in that first 100 to 200 of this 500, the rest of the race is probably not going to go very well for these swimmers. So I think accepting that mentally, like Ryan Murphy has said, is a huge challenge and huge obstacle that these ladies need to be prepared for.
I agree with you, Will, 100%. There's obstacles in every race. There's challenges in every race, and these ladies have been doing a very good job. We've seen lots of best times, lots of great swims, and lots of doubles from these athletes. We saw Erin do the 200 freestyle and now the 500 freestyle. We saw Caitlin Marshall in the 100 butterfly. Now we have her back in the water in the 500 freestyle. So impressive swimmers here early at the IHSAA Sectional Championship. These meets are going on all over the state, 20 different sectionals, which brings us into our next point about this state championship, is that typically heading into next week, there's a prelim session in the evening on Friday, followed by the final session on Saturday afternoon. Similar to sectionals, however, teams are a little closer by here at the sectional championship. There's a day of rest in between prelims and finals, but something to note, COVID protocols have taken over the state meet. So what we are looking at next week is 2 different prelim sessions, splitting the meet in half, which can give distinct competitive advantages and disadvantages to these athletes. One session at noon, one session at 5, which means some of the girls will swim their times and they're gonna set the bar, and the girls who swim at 5 o'clock on Friday are gonna have times to chase.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be really important here. I know some of the Carmel girls are used to swimming at night this year with these COVID protocols. A lot of the swim meets that are normally swum in club are prelims finals, but this year, timed finals, gotta fit in all the age groups. So a lot of these open swimmers, as we call them in club swimming, 15 and over, are swimming at night dominantly. So I think being prepared to swim at night and having the whole day looking forward to swimming versus coming in about midway through the day and especially setting those paces, I think you got to come in and say, I'm going to focus on my race and I'm going to swim.
My race, swim your own race,
Swim
exactly.
your own race.
So actually what's interesting is this is sectional 9. Carmel is sectional 9. So they will be looking at the noon session, something different. The Carmel Noblesville sectional, which will be hosted by Noblesville. The boys are looking at the 5 o'clock session, so it will flip-flop. So all of you swim fans, that'll be back in 2 weeks. Noblesville will have their live stream up for the boys meet. It will be flipped. So it will be very interesting to deal with the adversity and adapt to the different time changes in prelims as we have the results now for Heat 4, the final heat of the 500 freestyle. Erin Cummins coming in at 5:07.99. I believe that is the top qualifying time thus far tonight. Maybe Vivian Wilson was a little bit faster.
Yeah, she might have been.
Second was Caitlin Marshall in 5:20 flat from Noblesville. Third was Kate Peck from Westfield, 5:36.31. Fourth was Reagan Hart. Fifth, Hannah Moore. Sixth, Lauren Shane. Seventh, Aubrey Sparling over there in lane 1. And rounding out this heat, rounding out the whole event, is Rylan Wannell in lane 8. And as we finish the distance, we go back to the sprints. The 200 freestyle relay, one of my favorites here at the sectional championship.
Yeah, we got 4 different swimmers, all swimming a 50 freestyle. This event, very fun indeed. Looking for probably very few breaths, once again, just like the individual 50 freestyle. But 3 of the swimmers get basically an advantage with a relay start, dictating when they leave rather than the starter.
And so, like we said before, first quarter, can't win the state championship, but you can lose it. As you watch these girls dive in, it's very interesting to see how long they will wait, especially Noblesville and Carmel, teams that have made the state championship meet in the past. It's what Coach Plumb at Carmel likes to call first quarter starts, where you have to be extra safe because you do not want the official to call you early, because if you DQ here in the first quarter, that relay is stopped and will not move on. here in the state championship tournament. So as we get staged for Heat 1, there will be 2 heats of the 200 freestyle relay. In Heat 1, we will have the team from Eastern High School in lane 2. Guerin Catholic will be in lane 3. Noblesville in lane 4. Westfield in lane 5. And Kokomo is in lane 6. So if you're just joining us here, we would usually have names for these relays. However, in the IHSAA State Championship Tournament, there is 8 names listed on these rosters. So coaches can switch these lineups up to game time, clear them with the officials at the meet. So we will not know up here in the broadcast booth who is on these teams. Well, there's 8 possible names. The coaches put 4, and they can change it by quarter.
Yeah, I think we're going to be looking at some of those athletes that probably aren't going to swim at finals, getting rests here for those swimmers who are going to swim maybe 2 individual events at finals. I think you brought up a great point with disqualifications and relays. At state, relays are worth double points, so a disqualification here would be absolutely brutal.
And there's a major significance as what you would call the relay alternates. So we do have individual alternates here tonight. They will fill in for the 3 top swimmers for a team if they are unable to compete. However, the relay alternates stay on the roster all the way through the state finals. So you can switch your relay up through your 8 names all the way up until your state finals. So if you want to give one of your swimmers more rest in any of the 4 quarters, you can switch it up. For example, Madeline Chrisman and Colleen Duffy, 2 swimmers who we have talked about earlier, are both in the 100 backstroke. The 100 backstroke directly follows this 200 free relay. There is not a lot of time after the 2 free relay, so they're both listed for this relay. However, they will not swim in prelims as they will try to qualify for sectional finals. We might not even see these girls compete until the state finals to ensure they have enough rest to get the job done in their individual events.
Right, and a lot of these teams also run the risk. Again, the #1 goal is to qualify your relay. So coaches must be careful about who they put on these relays in order not to risk losing a spot in the next quarter.
100% will. Westfield out to a fast start here. 50 free, the splash and dash, head down, fast thunder kick, trying to get back to the wall as fast as possible to hand it off to the next relay member. As let's look at these exchanges. Yes, these girls definitely waiting a long time. That Noblesville start was awfully quick here for the first quarter.
Yeah, I absolutely noticed that. That was, even though it didn't look close at all, definitely faster than you would expect here in first quarter.
100%. Usually, when looking at a first quarter start, I like to watch the person touch and then go just to ensure my safety. But Noblesville girls started moving before the touch, and that was a lot safer there on the 3rd leg. So Westfield and Noblesville commanding this heat thus far. Kokomo in 3rd, followed by Guerin Catholic and Eastern here in Heat 1. One of the most exciting races here in the IHSAA State Tournament, as the 50 free is extremely exciting as you have 4 different people swim, but they're all swimming the shortest event. As we have one coming down to the wire, it will be Westfield by Will. 2/100ths of a second, 142.55 to 142.57. We will see both those teams fight it out tomorrow in the sectional championship, as the state cut is 3 seconds faster at 139.28. Noblesville is followed by Kokomo, and then Guerin and Eastern. So as we get ready for Heat 2, Maconaquah is in lane 2. Northwestern is in lane 3. The Carmel Greyhounds are in lane 4. Tipton is in lane 5, followed by Western in lane 6. So as I look down to the pool, it looks like Carmel does have a couple of the alternates on their team. So what you would consider the A relay is not necessarily who you would start the relay with. So another point here. A very safe start from Paris Christie there of Carmel, making sure she did not switch on the block, as she is already out to a commanding lead for Carmel.
Yeah, I think one thing about these relay exchanges, for those who may not know, you're allowed to have your toe on the block as long as the person is touching the wall. So for those of you who will tune in for the 4th quarter of state finals, you'll see these start be a lot faster, and it may look like they'll false start, but as long as that toe is on the block, when the swimmer touches, you're all good.
100%. I think talking to some of these swimmers, they like to watch the head of the swimmer finishing because they will start their windup. Watch the windup as some of these girls. Megan Chrisman looks like she's about to do a step over start to get that extra momentum, use the wedge on the back of the block, and really take off as she does there. So a great split from Maddie Lathrop, a first-timer on this Carmel lineup, 25-0, as she hands it off to Megan Chrisman, who is the state runner-up in the 50 freestyle, who we will be seeing in both the 50 and 100 freestyle sectional championship on Saturday afternoon. Carmel leads this heat as she hands it off to the last swimmer of this heat, who is Maconaquah, who dives in after a great split from Megan, 23:56.
Yeah, really good split for Megan. She might have a shot of going 22 on some of these relays in the upcoming quarters. State finals, maybe sectional finals. So that's something to look out for in the coming days.
Chrisman's best time from a flat start, the start of the race, a 22:99. So we'll see if she can get down there as this state tournament continues. McKenna finishes with a 24:51 to win the heat and a time under the state cut, 138.47. Second is Northwestern, a great showing from them, 143.40. Well under their entry time. Third is Tipton, followed by Maconaquah and Western. As we now get staged for the 100 backstroke, just 3 events to go here at the sectional championship prelims.
Griffin, something really interesting. Carmel actually tying exactly their time from prelims last year in this 200 freestyle relay.
Seems like Coach Chris Plumb knows what has to get done in the prelims, calculating who he wants to put on these relays, and then setting those lineups. So we could see a different combination of girls all throughout the state tournament. Last year, the sectional championship roster for Carmel had 2 swimmers on the state championship team and 2 swimmers who were taken off. As we get started here in the 100-yard backstroke, Lily Madden for Guerin is in lane 2. Her teammate Carolina Clary, who swam the 200 freestyle early tonight, is in lane 3. Grace Van Bibber from Eastern is in lane 4. Leah Parrott is in lane 5 for Northwestern, followed by, looks like that is Fernanda Rios Escobosa, a senior from Guerin, in lane 6. So the 100-yard backstroke, an event where you don't necessarily have to control your breath because you can breathe the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you are aware of this as a 100 backstroker yourself. Definitely you get to breathe a lot. However, it does seem like after these swimmers finish, they're out of breath because one of the things about this 100 backstroke is these underwaters off these turns. A lot of swimmers can do some underwaters faster than they swim. For example, maybe not on the girls team that I know of, but Wyatt Davis, a swimmer from Carmel last year.
Freshman at Michigan, yep,
Freshman at
incredible
Michigan.
underwaters.
Very good underwaters. He would always go to that red buoy 15 meters off the wall.
15 meters is the limit underwater that you can spend. As we get going here in the 100 back, Grace Van Bibber finishes first from Eastern, 1:18.23. A great time for her, dropping 4 seconds off her entry time of 1:22. Leah Parrott finishes second, 1:21.06. Third is Carolina Clary from Guerin. Fourth is Fernanda Rios Escobosa, also from Guerin. And rounding out the heat in fifth will be Lily Madden, also from Guerin. And Will, as we get into these circle-seated heats, keep your eye on Barrett Berglund. We won't see her till heat 4, but when you think about underwaters, you said underwaters, Barrett Berglund pops into the mind because she spends a whole lot of time underwater. She doesn't have a whole lot of tempo, but she is the defending state champion in the 100 back. She will be in heat 4, and she won the event as a freshman.
Yeah, that is something really crazy to think about. It could be too early to speculate, but she could be a 4-time winner in the 100 backstroke.
Which has only happened, I want to say, once or maybe twice in girls' history. Claire Adams, familiar name to Carmel Greyhound fans out there. The state record at 51.65, something Barrett is chasing here in her sophomore year as we get set for heat 2 of the 100-yard backstroke. In lane 1, it is Catherine Riley. In lane 2, Lola Williams from Eastern. Lane 3 is Jordan Cooley from Noblesville. Colleen Duffy is in lane 4 from Carmel. Your top qualifier in the 50-yard freestyle, Alex Boylott, is sophomore from Westfield, is in lane 5. She's joined by her teammate in lane 6, that's Olivia Bell. Lane 7 is Paige Wilson from Kokomo, and her teammate Rylan Winnell is in lane 8, the junior from Kokomo. So Colleen Duffy out to an early start, and already you can tell that she is a seasoned backstroker, made the A final all 3 years, now a senior. She spends a lot of time underwater, one of the fastest tempos that I've ever seen.
Yeah, very fast tempo as we can see here. This second 50 is going to be very crucial. Got to keep that tempo up. Got to use those underwater dolphin kicks on that last turn when the legs are really burning.
As we get into club swimming, you swim the 200 backstroke. I like to call the 200 backstroke the leg shredder. And this 100 is not too shabby in regards to how much those legs are kicking. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot of splash. However, those legs are going the entire race as Colleen touches in 56.68, followed by Alexa Bolada. Great swim from the Westfield sophomore as she breaks a minute for the first time. A 3-second drop for the sophomore. Lane 3, Jordan Cooley, 101. She is third. Olivia Bell gets fourth here in this second heat, 102.10. Fifth is Paige Wilson. Sixth is Lola Williams. And seventh is Rylan Winnell.
Yeah, something about Colleen there. She actually went a second faster this year in prelims. Carmel girls are really stepping it up here at prelims.
Something that's interesting about this season is technically, you could say it started all the way back in June. So usually these swimmers swim yards from about August to February and then swim meters from about March to August. Meters is summer season, winter season is yards, the high school season, the club meets, right? NCAA's, college is also in yards. But what's been interesting is all the summer meets were canceled this year. Every opportunity was taken away. Olympic trials was pushed back an entire year. So these girls have been training for a whole year almost for this meet. We're sitting here on February 4th. Things were shut down on March 13th. So these girls have been training yards, especially the Carmel and Noblesville girls. They got to use Forest Park out in Noblesville over by Morris Reservoir and Cicero. And these girls have been training yards since that point in June when those pools started to open back up. So these times that are faster in prelims are not necessarily a surprise because these girls have been going times faster than the previous year since August. Several inter-squad meets have occurred and girls have matched or done better than their times of the previous year in all of these different meets. Something Coach Plumb told the Indy Star back in October or November is he said, we're going some of the fastest times we've ever gone in season. That's when the girls aren't rested or tapered because the training started earlier. Obviously, training was taken away back in March and April, but training was there once the summer got started, and it's showing here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the key points that's often overlooked is actually the break, the quarantine that happened. A lot of these swimmers swim year-round, and the biggest break they get is probably about 2 weeks. And so having that extended break of about 2 months for some of these swimmers and letting them do other things, taking their mind off swimming, might have actually been a benefit for some of these swimmers.
We see some of the swimmers jamming out on the sidelines. Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer, playing here at Carmel High School Natatorium. Looks like the officials had to deal with a soft touch in lane 1 from heat 2 as action will now resume for heat 3 of the 100-yard backstroke. Sometimes we have breaks in the action because there's only a couple IHSA officials here and they have to make sure everything is right, everything is legal, and sometimes the touchpads just don't cooperate.
Yeah, it's something that you can't really control sometimes. A lot of the times you might actually have touch soft, but sometimes the touchpad, like you said, just doesn't work.
So here we go now, heat 3 of the 100 backstroke. Diving into the water is Emily Griggs, the senior from Kokomo. In 2, it's Samantha Bumgardner, the senior from Northwestern. In lane 3, it's Abigail Hoover, the freshman from Tipton. Madeline Crispin, senior from Carmel, who had a stellar 200 IM, is in lane 4. Already out to an early lead in lane 5. is Catherine Bath from Northwestern. Gracie Burns, the freshman from Western, is in lane 6. Nevaeh Sebastian is in 7, the sophomore from Maconaquah. And in 8 is Lillian Schallenberger, the sophomore from Eastern. And Madeline tonight is going for it.
Yeah, I think Madeline this season has just looked more comfortable training at Carmel, just really settling in, right back to her events that she's been swimming the most of her life.
Her bread and butter.
Yeah, so she's looked very good and very fast this year.
This is going to be a great time for Madeline. 55:44. Just for reference, Will, that state cut time, 57:23. She's almost 2 seconds under it in 100. So a great swim from the Carmel senior. In second, it's Catherine Bath from Northwestern, 101.64. Third, Abigail Hoover, 104.58. Fourth, Gracie Burns from Western, 105.51, followed by Nevaeh Sebastian in 6th. Emily Griggs is 7th, and 8th is Lillian Schallenberger. So as we get set for heat 4, the final heat of this 100-yard backstroke. As the ladies hop in the water, lane 1 will be Genesis Everling from Western. Lydia Jones, senior from Maconaquah, is in lane 2. Hannah Jones, the junior from Westfield, is in lane 3. Barrett Berglund, the defending state champion in this event, is in lane 4. Sophie Resner from Noblesville is in lane 5. Caroline Santeri from Noblesville is in lane 6. Juliana Hoover from Tipton is in lane 7. And Abby Jordan closes out the heat, the freshman from Maconaquah. And watch Barrett Berglund underwater. When is she going to come up?
Very nice underwaters there from Barrett. Probably about halfway there on that turn. Griffin, something that many swimmers may not know is how does one start the 100 backstroke?
So the 100 backstroke is very interesting because you have to go for it early. You have to go for it early, and then you got to try to hold on. Backstroke is one of the events where the 50s splits are very close together because you are able to breathe the whole time. You don't have to have that carbon dioxide tolerance that you do in the freestyle and the butterfly. So Barrett able to open up the airway, is coming in with an impressive time here in prelims, 54:39. Incredible time from Barrett. She was 57 in prelims last year, 3 seconds under. The Carmel backstrokers are going after it tonight as Barrett only a second over her best time, unsuited, as she won the state championship last year in 53:41, just a second faster than what she went tonight. Barrett is followed by Sophie Resner from Noblesville, 58:83. Third is Caroline Santeri from Noblesville as well, 00:32. As we get started in the 100 breast, our last individual event of the night, the breaststroke. One might say the 100 breast, or the breaststroke in general, is the most technical stroke here in the sport of swimming.
Yeah, I think one thing important about breaststroke is hip and ankle flexibility, something that personally I am not very good at. So for these girls, they need to be stretching, they need to be doing that mobility, that frog stretch.
That frog stretch.
In order to get those hips and ankles really working for that frog-like kick that we can see onto this breaststroke.
For all my yogis out there, that frog stretch is brutal, but amazing for breaststroke. Very good for ankle flexibility. You call it frog stretch because you look like a frog when you're doing it, and the breaststroke kick is very similar to the way a frog kicks. Sometimes when teaching the younger kids how to kick, you want to avoid a scissor or a flutter kick in that kick, and you call the stroke froggy so they can learn how to do the breaststroke kick, which is the most technical piece in swimming.
Yeah.
So, in this first heat, we have Kaylin Moe in lane 3. Joanna Hannikin from Eastern is in lane 4. Kendall Reese from Western is in lane 5.
Yeah, so I think we're really looking at some breaststroke swimming. When we teach those younger kids, we tell them to turn their toes out towards the opposite walls in order to grab as much water as we can, in order to push that water back and accelerate forward.
100%. So as these three turn home in the first heat, looking at their best times, looks like it's going to be a great swim for all three of these swimmers. Kaylin Moe, Joanna Hannikin, and Kendall Reese coming in this first heat of the 100 breaststroke. So Hannikin looks like she will take the win here, 135.25. And second will be Kaylin Moe, 137.85. Her entry was 144, a big time drop for the freshman from Guerin. Kendall Reese finishes in 143, a little bit over her best time. So now we do have heat 2 of the 100 breaststroke. As the swimmers get ready. Lane 1 is Amelia Servias, freshman from Tipton. Abby Heath, a sophomore from Maconaquah, is in 2. Delaney Howard, a junior from Noblesville, is in 3. Vivian Wilson, sophomore from Carmel. We saw her earlier in the 500 freestyle. Is in lane 4. Sophia Walker, a freshman from Tipton, is in lane 5. Alex Irvin, a freshman from Westfield, is in lane 6. Andrea Polakova is a junior from Western, and she's in lane 7. And Madeline Lorenz, the senior from Maconaquah, is in lane 8. And out to an early lead is Vivian Wilson. A very interesting combination here, Will. 500 freestyle and 100 breaststroke.
Yeah, two very different strokes. Freestyle, once again, working that kick, that flutter kick, the long strokes. Breaststroke, you're actually pulling with both arms at the same time. Something to note about breaststroke here is those turns in our underwaters. In underwaters, we don't use those dolphin kicks like we do on the other 3 strokes. We're actually doing something called a breaststroke pullout. Griffin, could you walk us through that?
Very technical, the breaststroke pullout. Underwater in breaststroke, you're allowed 1 pull down, 1 dolphin kick, and 1 breaststroke kick to get your hands back to the surface. We'll take a closer look at that as the girls dive in for heat 3, but Vivian Wilson will finish first in 107.06 in lane 4. Second is Sophia Walker from Tipton in 108.76, a great swim for her. And in lane 6 is Alex Irvin. She finished in 3rd place for Westfield. 4th is Delaney Howard. 5th is Abby Heath. 6th is Andrea Polakova. 7th is Amelia Service. And 8th is Madeline Lorenz as we get ready for heat 3 in the girls' 100-yard breaststroke. We will get our second look at McKenna Liskey here in the 100 breast. 3rd place is state last year. As lane 1, it will be Stormy Blake from Kokomo. Lane 2, Olivia Shoemaker from Western. Annie Spoleto from Westfield is in lane 3, and McKenna Liskey from Carmel is in lane 4. Janaka Hawkins from Kokomo is in lane 5. Ashley Ream from Northwestern is in 6, joined by her teammate Aubrey Sparling in lane 7. Meg Shemansky from Guerin finishes out the heat in lane 8. And really strong first 50s from all 3 swimmers in the middle of the pool. McKenna Liskey, Janaka Hawkins, and Annie Spoleto as we watch the underwater pull out. These girls staying under for as long as possible to increase efficiency and save energy for when they're expelling energy on top of the water.
Yes, the fast, as many coaches tell swimmers, the fastest you're gonna be is off the start. Second fastest is off that turn. The goal is to carry speed underwater into that swim.
Westfield head coach Derek Thomas likes to look at these races as who can slow down the least. The fastest part of your race is the start, followed by the turn, like you said, Will. And what Derek likes to say is the person who's going to get to the wall first is the person who can slow down the least and carry that momentum off the turn. All 3 swimmers in the middle of the pool did an excellent job of that here early as McKenna Liskey hits the wall first at 106.37. Janaka Hawkins from Kokomo is second in 107.57, followed by Annie Spoleto from Westfield is third in 108.42. 4th is Ashley Ream. 5th is Olivia Shoemaker. 6th, Aubrey Sparling. Meg Shemansky is 7th, and Stormy Blake is 8th with a soft touch in lane 1. And here we go, heat 4 of the 100 breast. The 4th and final heat. Lacey Wingardner is in lane 1 from Maconaquah. Ellie Herzog from Westfield is in lane 2. Maya McDonald from Noblesville is in lane 3. Maggie Love from Carmel is in lane 4. We saw her earlier in the 50 freestyle. Sammy Huff, your defending state champion, is in lane 5. A little bit surprising because it is just her in-season time with the entry. Emily Lucas from Kokomo is in lane 6. Katie Swack from Guerin is in lane 7, and Alex Rosales from Northwestern is in lane 8. So Maggie Love takes the early lead here over the defending state champ, Sammy Huff.
Yeah, as we saw there, I think Maggie got a very, very good start.
Very impressive start from Love in 4.
Off the blocks in order to take a lead over Sammy Huff. Once again, like you mentioned, this is her in-season time. Not her best time ever, just her in-season time.
So just for comparison, Sammy is entered in a 105 here tonight. Her best time ever is a 102 when she won the state championship, so hard to compare those two. As Maggie Love comes in at a 104, she will be the top seed tonight. Sammy Huff, a 106, as she was a little bit slower than last year in prelims. She will be ready to go and suited up on Saturday, and we will have a great race between Love, Huff, Liskey, and Wilson. In third, it was Maya McDonald from Noblesville, Huff's teammate. In fourth, Emily Lucas from Kokomo. Fifth, Ellie Herzog. Sixth, Katie Swack. Seventh, Alex Rosales. In eighth was Lacey Weingardner. As we get into the last event here tonight, the 400 freestyle relay. And Will, my personal favorite, this relay finishes off the meet with a bang. The 4-time 100-yard freestyle. All these girls doing 4 laps of the pool of the fastest stroke swimming has to offer.
Yeah, this time, instead of a 200 freestyle relay, this is going to be a 400 freestyle relay. Each swimmer doing 100, like you said, Griffin. A little birdie told me you may have a state record in this event.
May.
For the boys. But for the girls, very similar strategies as the individual 100 freestyle.
And Will, something to note is that some teams prefer the 2 free relay when it's a little quicker. Some teams prefer the 4 free relay. Carmel, their staple is the 4 free relay because it's a little bit longer and they train a little bit longer. Carmel girls are conditioned for this 4 free relay. It's one of the more fun races because you can put 4 of your best swimmers. For example, as I look over to the record board on the far side of the pool, 3:15 is the state record, but is also the fastest time in high school history. 4 names over there: Burchell, Adams, Smith, and Bilquist. I see an SEC champion, a Pac-12 champion, a Big 12 champion, and a Big 10 finalist. Some pretty impressive names.
They're very fast. Amy Bilquist actually coming in third at Olympic trials in 2016. So we have some very impressive swimmers that have swam in Indiana.
It's hard to get your name up on that record board, to say the least. As we get going in the 400 free relay, we will preview what teams are swimming here in Heat 1. Tipton will be in 2, Northwestern in 3, Noblesville in 4, Guerin in 5, and Maconaquah in 6. And just to remind our audience, unfortunately, we do not have the names of the swimmers for these relays because there is 8 names listed on all of these relays. Coaches can switch these relay orders up till game time. They have 8 swimmer options for 4 spots. There's 4 quarters in this state tournament. You can switch up your relay however you'd like with your 8 names. Something interesting is those names carry throughout. So if you qualify for sectional finals, you can swap out a swimmer. If you qualify for state prelims, you can swap out a swimmer. Go back to what you had or change it up for a 3rd combination. The possibilities are endless here, so all we have in front of us is the teams. But the one thing that does stay consistent is the team name in the team time. The team qualifies, and the members of the team can switch.
Yeah, a lot of people like to say swimming isn't a team sport. This is a prime example of how swimming is indeed a team sport. Once again, like you said, the only thing that matters on these relays is that name on the cap.
And it looks like we did have a swimmer in either the 100 backstroke or the 100 breaststroke that has asked the officials for a little bit of courtesy rest. Turnaround is quick here at the end of the meet. The 100 back, the 100 breast, and the 400 free lay are boom, boom, boom right after each other. The 100 back and the 100 breast only taking about a minute to a minute and a half per heat. Trust me, I've done 100 back, 4 free back-to-back before. You are feeling it after that 100 back, and then you got to get right back into the water. So now we'll get going here in the 400 free relay. So just a little bit of history for you. Last year, Noblesville was 2nd in this race and 17th at state. They will be in lane 4. Guerin did not make the top 8 in sectionals last year, but they are in lane 5. Will be trying to do so this year. Maconaquah was 4th last year. They are in lane 6. As our first 50 is over with, and Noblesville is out to an early lead. First swimmer, 27:31.
Yeah, Griffin, I think back to that courtesy rest. If I had to guess, it was probably Sammy Huff who literally just came off of Heat 4, the last heat of the 100 breaststroke, and is now in Heat 1 for Noblesville of this 400 freestyle relay.
Crazy turnaround, that's for sure. And on Saturday, there will be awards breaks in between the events, so these swimmers will get a little bit more rest, especially here at the end of the meet where things go a little bit quicker. As the second swimmers are now in the water for the 400 freestyle relay. So as we wrap things up here tonight, we'll jump over to the results for the 500 freestyle. The top 16 will make it back in this event. A consolation and a championship final. 16th, Lauren Shane from Eastern. 15th, Lydia Jones. 14th, Hannah Montgomery. Madison Baxter, 13th. Hannah Moore, 12th. Anna Moore, 11th. Katie Kramer is 10th, and wrapping up consolation is Reagan Hart, 9th for Noblesville. And your championship final. Kate Peck from Westfield. Bridget Keller with a 4-second drop for Guerin is 7th. Isabella Amaya is 6th, followed by Ellie Ketchum, Caitlin Marshall, and the 3 Carmel Greyhounds, Ashley Swingewood, Vivian Wilson, and Erin Cummins. So that is your 500 freestyle. Moving on to the 200 freestyle relay results. Now there will be 2 heats. Eastern and Western will be in the consolation heat, and we will have 8 teams in the championship final. Those teams will be Maconaquah, Guerin Catholic, Kokomo, Tipton, Northwestern, Noblesville, Westfield, and Carmel High School, who achieved the state cut here in prelims. So Will, as we look towards Saturday, obviously these relays are a big deal. Like you said, you could say swimming is an individual sport. There's 1 swimmer per lane at a time. However, relays are double points. That is a big deal, especially as we get towards the sectional championship trophy and the state championship trophy next weekend at IUPUI.
Yeah, I think another thing to mention about swimming being a team sport, you're all training together. Just like, let's say, cross country, you all train together. So I think in swimming, you got to be there for your teammates, and you got to push each other through those hard times, through those really tough sets in order to get better, and it all pays off here at the state tournament.
100%. And something crucial about training, like you said, Will, is training partners can help you get through those tough practices. You are swimming by yourself in your lane. It's not like football where you got an offensive lineman blocking for you, or in basketball where you got to pass the ball around the court to make sure you get an open shot. But in swimming, it's like a chain. In these relays, you're as strong as your weakest link. So you got to make sure you build each other up, build on great swims, carry momentum from leg to leg, and make sure each swimmer does their job in each of these races, because the points add up. State championships come from team points. It comes from depth, and I think that is a Carmel staple, whereas Carmel wins the state championship not with just individual wins, but with girls qualifying for consolation finals and championship finals and everything in between to just put points on the board and pile up their total team points at the end of the night.
Yeah, Carmel is really known for their depth as a team. It has been demonstrated in the past that a state championship can be won without winning a single individual event.
We've seen that with the boys.
Yes, so that is a prime example of swimming being a team sport and just putting what you got, everything you got in the water for your team.
As Heat 1 wraps up, Noblesville will take the win in lane 4. Second will be Guerin, who will probably squeak into the sectional championship this year. Third is Maconaquah down in lane 6. Fourth was Northwestern in 3, followed by Tipton, who was 5th in lane 2. So Kira Kask will lead it off for the Carmel Greyhounds. And Heat 2 of 2, our final race of the evening. Eastern High School will be in lane 2, followed by Western in lane 3, Carmel in 4, Westfield in 5, and Kokomo in 6. So we saw Kira Kask in the 100 free individually early tonight. She has not swum for quite a while, so Chris Plumb, head coach of the Carmel Greyhounds, has thrown her onto this relay to ensure that Carmel gets the job done and gets that top seed for Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I think it's a smart move by Coach Plumb, looking to put the most inexperienced swimmer on this relay first in order to ensure that she's ready to go for the rest of the tournament.
Swimmers definitely more comfortable with the track start or the flat start. Some may call the very beginning of the race. The relay start a little bit more technical as the swimmers on the second leg are set to line up. We'll watch the exchanges to see these first quarter starts, but as you can see, Erin Cummins waiting for Kira to touch the wall as she takes off for the second leg.
Yeah, something to note about these relay exchanges, it's not all on the person on the block. Yes, they decide when to go, but the person finishing must have a consistent stroke into the wall. If you take an extra stroke, that may result in a disqualification because of mistiming between the two swimmers.
Better long and strong than taking that hand back and punching into the wall with a short stroke. That might work on an individual event, but like we said previously, swimmers on the block like to watch the head or the shoulders of the swimmer coming in. So if that arm pulls back and that swimmer's already rolling, if they're already going down the runway, they might be in the air before that hand actually gets to the wall.
Yeah, that's something to really look out for as we go into sectional finals, as teams start to be a little more risky to go faster on these relays.
100% will, as the third leg now jumps in the water for these teams. Carmel leads after 2 legs and Westfield follows.
Carmel out in a 1:48.8. That is pretty good for an individual 200, but obviously this is a relay that we are seeing here at sectional prelims.
And just a little food for thought, Carmel was in at 1:48. Gretchen Luking's best time in the 200 free, 1:46, so it should be extremely exciting on Saturday to see what Gretchen can do as she by herself on her best time could have been in there first. Something kind of interesting, a little comparison there as we wrap up this meet.
Yes, and speaking of Gretchen, she is just finishing up her race. She's finishing in that last 50, 27.0. Looking pretty strong. Ashley Swingewood in the water now for Carmel.
A thunder kick from Swingewood. We saw her in the 500-yard freestyle, her only swim of the night. So Coach Plumb again going, she's got some fresh legs. She only swam 500 yards. Let's throw her in the 4 free relay and see what happens. But all that being said, it's great to get in the water, get a feel for your stroke, and gain experience as Ashley, although she's a junior, this is her first time really being in the state environment, in the state championship tournament environment here at Carmel High School.
Yeah, something that I just noticed here is, like you mentioned earlier, the state record and the fastest record in high school history with the 400 free relay was a 3:15. Carmel with a 50 to go is actually a 3:07. And it takes about, let's say, Ashley just came back in a 29.
3:36 on the finish. That record is crazy fast.
Yeah.
So as this second heat wraps up, we will see who comes in next. It looks like it will be Westfield finishing in 3:52.81. Last year, Westfield finished 3rd in this race at the sectional championships. And at 3rd will be Western High School, who actually got DQ'd, unfortunately, last year in the sectional finals. They'll be looking to improve upon that result. Obviously, nobody wants to see a disqualification for any of the teams here at the state tournament. It is definitely a devastating blow. Happy to see Western get into the sectional final here tonight. They are followed by Eastern in lane 2 and Kokomo in lane 6. So that will wrap up the 400 freestyle relay. We'll be right back on CHTV with the rest of the results from tonight of the prelim session of the 2021 IHSAA Girls Sectionals Championship. And here are your results for the 100-yard backstroke coming in. Top 16 will swim on Saturday afternoon in the consolation final. 16th from Western is Genesis Everling. Paige Wilson is 15th from Kokomo. 14th is Juliana Hoover. 13th is Samantha Bumgardner. 12th, Gracie Burns. 11th, Abigail Hoover. 10th, Hannah Jones. And 9th, Olivia Bell with a 1.8 second drop. Impressive swim from the Westfield Sophomore Year Championship Final. Catherine Bath, Jordan Cooley, Caroline Santeri, Alexa Bolat, Sophie Resner, and the 3 Carmel Greyhounds, Colleen Duffy, Madeline Crispin, and Barrett Berglund, all 3 Carmel swimmers under the state cut. We move on to the 100-yard breaststroke. Who will be swimming on Saturday afternoon? 16th, Kate Swack from Guerin. 15th, Abby Heath from Maconaquah. 14th, Olivia Shoemaker from Western. 13th, Delaney Howard from Noblesville. 12th, Ellie Herzog from Westfield with an impressive 3-second drop. 11th is Emily Lucas from Kokomo. 10th is Ashley Ream. And 9th is Alex Irvin, a big-time drop for the Westfield freshman to wrap up the consolation heat. Sophia Walker is 8th to start out the championship final. Annie Spoleto is 7th. Janaka Hawkins is 6th. Maya McDonald is 5th. Vivian Wilson 4th. McKenna Liskey 3rd. Sammy Huff, the defending state champion, will be in lane 5, 2nd overall. And Maggie Love is your top qualifier in 104.89. So, as we wrap up the individual results, Will, a great night of swimming, an extremely impressive night of swimming from all of the teams here in the Carmel sectional. And we saw a lot of times that were faster than this meet last year in prelims.
Yeah, I think I touched on this earlier. There's 2 big reasons that I think are responsible for this. I know you touched on this, but starting the season back in like June, July, swimming yards
Yep, 100%.
for all that time. And I think the second main factor that is often overlooked is that break that we all had from April to, or March even, to May.
March through May, yes.
So a lot of these swimmers had time to just, you know, do other things than swim, which, believe it or not, swimmers do have lives outside of the pool. And a lot of them got to play sports. They got to lay around and watch Netflix.
And stay in shape in different ways, cross-train a little bit. So here we go, the last event, results, the 400 freestyle relay. Eastern and Kokomo will be in your consolation final. Tipton, Northwestern, Maconaquah, Western, Guerin Catholic, Westfield, Noblesville, and Carmel will be in your championship final. Carmel, the defending state champions in the 400 freestyle relay. So, Will, to wrap things up, final thoughts on this preliminary session. What are you looking forward to most on Saturday?
I'm really looking forward to seeing these girls swim faster than they did tonight.
Yep.
And they swim very fast tonight. I think all of these teams are ready to show how much work they put in each and every day.
Very impressive showings from all of our teams here at the 2021 Girls Sectional Championship. Will, it's been a pleasure. I'll be back here on Saturday afternoon with Mr. Connor Bradley, former swim coach, will be my color here on Saturday for the Girls Sectional Finals. For Will Plumb, Jacob Wiener, Jacob Young, and Izzy Herder, I am Griffin Hadley for CHTV. Thank you for watching and have a great rest of your night.